Well, hello again, sports fans. I've finally got my new Nano Talon after pranging the first one when I tried to launch it thinking I was in 6-axis mode and I was only in 3-axis. I ended up busting the prop and ripping the motor mount out, and rather than wait 3 weeks for a replacement prop, I put a different motor in and a different prop, and one thing led to another and I ended up pranging it, so the easiest thing to do was buy another one. So she went together in half an hour with all the same gear from the original, and she's flying absolutely fine. I ended up buying a set of these Eachine EV800D True Diversity goggles, and I must admit I'm pretty impressed. They have a DVR in them that seems to be pretty good quality. The only downside to them is if they don't have a adjustable Fresnel lens inside. If you're over 50, you're going to have to figure out some way of adjusting the focus, and you can either insert another magnifying lens near your eyes, or extend the focal length of the box by building some sort of divider between the two parts. There's videos on the web about how to do this. I ended up buying a cheap jeweler's magnifying headset that came with 5 different size lenses, and just ended up hot gluing one into the box on mine. So this is only the second flight of my new Nano Talon, but I'm so confident with it and with the headset that I'm launching with the headset on. I'm launching in 6-axis mode, and I'll be leaving it in 6-axis mode for the duration of the flight. If you've seen the initial flights of my first Nano Talon, you'll know that I was having trouble keeping the wings level. I tended to be overcorrecting and having a hard time keeping a line, and some people gave me some advice via the YouTube channel that using rudder in conjunction with the ailerons helps a lot, and that certainly seems to be the case here. So I'm trying to be pretty gentle with the sticks and trying to remember that I need to use rudder and aileron at the same time. I'm also missing the on-screen display that I normally have when I fly FPV, that gives me altitude and speed data all the time. So I'm trying to get some sense of how fast she's going from the sound of the engine, but I'm flying in a fairly big area and it doesn't take long to go out of earshot. So flying straight and level down the strip was one of the things I was having a problem with the first version, but as long as I remember to use the rudder, it's a lot more stable and I'm a lot more comfortable with where I'm going. I must admit, now that I'm looking at the video, I'm impressed with the quality of the video I'm getting out of these goggles. The specifications call for a class 10 SD card to get full definition, but I've only had a class 4 card, and there's nothing wrong with the quality of this video at the moment. I've been looking for a lost model along this stretch of paddock for the last week using my Quantum Venture quadcopter with high definition Mobius camera, so I wasn't expecting to get good enough quality video out of this trip to actually make it worthwhile looking for the plane, but again, as I said, I'm pretty happy with the quality. The video reception's also really good. I'm getting very little breakup, and only just briefly when I go behind a tree, and I'm not seeing anything in the way of lag between the video and the plane at all. So back to the Nano Talon. I'm just crossing a track here that's been made by a bore driller that's working in the paddock, and there's no way in the world I would have been able to follow this track as closely as I am without using the rudder in conjunction with the ailerons. I've set the Nano Talon up for a 2.4 gig control system, and I'm just flying gradually out a bit further and further just to see how the video goes, but I'm not going to go out too far because I don't have a return to home or an OSD to give me the GPS coordinates if I do get into trouble. But I'm only running a 200 milliwatt video transmitter, and it seems to be having no trouble at all. I'm not getting any breakup even out this far. So I'm feeling really comfortable with the Talon, especially on these long straight runs, though I do find that when I actually have a target that I'm trying to line up on, I still seem to be fighting the stabiliser with the ailerons and forgetting to just gently tweak the rudder. I'll try a bit of 3-axis stabilisation on my next flight. Maybe that will improve things. This is an example of what I'm talking about. I'm trying to fly between these two trees, and you can see I'm just very nervously waggling the wings. And once again here I'm trying to line up and fly down the middle of the strip at a relatively low height, and again over correcting. It's definitely me though, not the plane. I don't have any trouble flying it at all line of sight. It's just now that I've got the headset on, I seem to have gone to water. That's about the worst glitch I experienced on the whole flight. So as I said, it's nice and smooth, so when I've got a long run I'm not aiming for a particular spot, but I'm just coming around to a gap in a couple of trees. I decide I might have a go at flying through that, so I line up not too badly, but just before I get there I notice that there's a power pole there, and I remember that there is a power line running between there and the dam, so I stay up above tree level. So when I was loading up this video, I was quite surprised to see that there were 2 files involved. It had only been about a 15-minute flight, but it looks like the maximum file size is 1 meg, and it closes down and starts a new one. So I'm hoping that there's a way to extend that, because 1 meg just doesn't seem to be enough. It's about 10 minutes at the definition I'm using. At least it looks like the new file starts up fairly quickly, so I wouldn't have missed more than a couple of seconds of video. Unfortunately, the wind today is coming from the south, which means the landing approach is down the side of the hill on our north side of the strip, which is quite steep. So I'm landing on the goggles again, so I could have done without the challenge, but here we go. Well, it's a bit short, but I'll take a landing like that every time. So I'm pretty happy with that. Thanks again to those sports fans who advised me on the use of the rudder. It certainly made a big difference, and I really enjoyed that flight, and I'll gradually work my way up to cutting back on the stabilisation, hopefully.